Hey, what's up, everybody? This week we got Drew back on the podcast. We're going to talk some hoops. We talk about Serge Ibaka's return and what that's going to mean for the Spurs Thunder series. We're going to talk about the Miami Heat series. We talk about the BS it is that the Cavs got the first overall pick again. And finally, we finish with a little game called Drew Con, where Drew acts as the GM for the Minnesota Timberwolves, and I send him trade ideas for Kevin Love. But that's it. I hope you enjoyed the podcast, and thanks for listening.
Hit me with the horn, 20. Keep making noise. Keep making noise. Yeah.
All right, man. Last night was the Spurs Thunder. What was it? Game 5? Game 4? Game 3? Game 3. Yeah, they're up 2-1 now. It was a good game. My favorite part of it was Kendrick Perkins was mic'd up.
Oh,
so that was pretty exciting.
Disappointed I missed it. So disappointed.
He just spewed a ton of let's do this, a lot of we got thises, things like that, kind of just hyping up the team. Not a big fan of the X's and O's, Kendrick Perkins, I don't think.
Yeah, they pay him $9 million a year, and it's money well spent because you can't just find those phrases on the street.
Yeah, it's not like any fan off the street can just yell those from the sideline. But it was a good game overall. It was fun to see the Thunder back in it because they just got smashed games 1 and 2. Finally, it's a series,
Yeah, I always want to shade. No matter who I'm cheering for, I always want it to shade on close games and ideally 7-game series. It's good for the league, good for me.
Yeah. And what's good for Drew is good for the league.
Yeah, I like to think that at least.
So Ibaka was back, and he was absolutely you could feel his presence on anytime anybody drove into the hoop, he was there to meet him. He got 4 blocks. He got a couple big ones too, and every time he got a block or got a hand on it, you could see the team's energy just explode, and you could hear the crowd go wild. So that was great.
Mm-hmm. And like I mentioned before, I don't have TNT, so I haven't been watching these games, the Western games. But what I do remember about the Spurs throughout this year and last year, it really, the Heat struggled against it too, is the Spurs are so good at scoring in the paint, and not just Duncan, but Parker is probably the best point guard in the league at penetrating and putting up those little floaters and just getting to the rim. And also their offense is designed to have cutters cutting to the rim. So having a guy like Ibaka, I feel like is imperative, especially when you're already kind of, I would say that Thunder have less talent if Ibaka's not on the floor, right, than the Spurs.
Oh, top to bottom, yeah, definitely.
Right. Mm-hmm. So you need that rim protection to kind of at least try and neutralize San Antonio's best offensive game.
Yeah. So of course, like you said, Duncan and Parker are phenomenal down there. What I think sets them apart, because every team seems to have a big guy that can score in the paint, a guard that can get down there. But what makes them elite in my mind is Boris Diaw and Thiago Splitter pass the ball phenomenally down low.
Mm-hmm. They do, yeah.
So Boris Diaw, he's not a household name, really. NBA fans know who he is. Regular fans just recognize him as the fat, big guy on the Spurs. Right. But he's a phenomenal passer, and he sets up people down low all the time, just for easy buckets.
Mm-hmm.
So between those two, they had a play last night, I think it was Diaw and Splitter, where they did a give and go inside the paint, passed it back and forth to each other 3 times inside the paint before they got a shot off. It was unreal. It was just tic-tac-toe passing from 6 feet away.
Yeah, and that's what makes the Spurs so great and aggravating when you're not cheering for them. But it's also something that can be, at least slowed down when you have a guy like Ibaka who's just massive and extremely long.
Yeah, his wingspan and his athletic ability.
He could probably touch each side of the paint, I would assume, with his wingspan. So having a guy like that can definitely disrupt some of that chemistry that the Spurs put forth.
Especially considering, other than Kawhi Leonard, the Spurs don't really have anybody that's going to finish at the rim. They can finish in the paint,
mm-hmm.
but they're not going to go up at the rim. Duncan plays, at this point in his career, plays below the rim. Diaw, Splitter both do. Parker definitely does.
Yep.
Kawhi Leonard's the only guy who's really going to attack the rim with any sort of athleticism. And he did last night. He actually threw one down, took off 2 feet and threw it down left-handed on Ibaka. It was pretty impressive. It was pretty sweet.
Well, good for him. His team lost by 17, but he got the highlight of the night.
Yeah, kinda. Westbrook had a sweet highlight at the very end of the game. He got a breakaway dunk that he just botched. He tried to cock it back and tomahawk it, and he put it off the back of the rim and skied it. But he got the offensive rebound and then laid it in. So it was like the most Westbrookian play you could imagine.
I was gonna say, yeah, microcosm of his entire game career.
Yeah. Make a really stupid mistake, use your athleticism to make up for it, and then score.
Yep.
But yeah, that series from here on out, it's hard to tell if last night was just an energy thing, like if Ibaka returning was just a shot in the arm, and they returned home as well, or if that was for real. I like to lean towards hopefully it's for real.
Yeah, that's what I said earlier about being just a fan. I would definitely like to see a more competitive series. I think it's probably, well, we need to wait for the next team to find out, but I think it might unfortunately be more of what you said earlier about just the energy in the building. Because if you think about it, the Spurs don't have gears, right?
The Spurs, yeah.
Like we were talking about Miami, just, when they need to win, they turn it to 10 and they win. The Spurs just play at 8.5 every single night, right?
Yeah.
And most of the nights that's good enough to win. But when a team like the Thunder comes out and plays a 10 game, the Spurs are going to lose. So I don't know. I think it we'll see. We'll see if the Thunder can keep the intensity that high and play that well. But
that's a great way to look at it. Is like there are teams whose their top performances can outdo the Spurs, but on a game-to-game basis, the Spurs, like you said, they play at 8.5 every night.
Right, and that works, especially because you can see it in the regular season, right? This is why they're always getting the 1 or the 2 seed, because they basically just have this formula. Well, okay, sure, we're not going to win, we're not going to play our best every night, kind of on purpose. We're going to bench guys when we need to, and we're just going to coast at a pretty high level and play the odds and see where that gets us.
Yeah. It's a genius team. Pretty much everything they do is just genius. I love that. The whole organization.
Oh, I love it too, but I just cannot wait for Duncan to retire and Popovich to leave. I'm sick of seeing the Spurs in the playoffs. They're boring-ass jerseys.
I love Tim Duncan. I love the team in general.
And they're still going to be good, too. It's going to be so aggravating. They're going to be
fine. One last thing before we move on to the other series. The reason I think Ibaka could equalize the series now is because when Ibaka was out, there was a lot more worry about having no rim protection, and I feel like everybody was a half step or a full step back towards the net, which left the threes open. That's why Danny Green just rained. Like, he hit, I think it was like 28 threes in the first 2 games.
Give or take a couple.
Yeah. But now that they know Ibaka's behind them and they have, like, someone has their back, they can play farther out onto the arc and hopefully neutralize that part of the Spurs game, because the three-point shooting is really what kind of keeps the Spurs in games when they're not scoring at the basket as well. They're not shooting as well, just because that extra point on every hit,
Yeah, and that's a great breakdown of why rim protection is so important. Like, you always hear the NBA, the guys always talk about rim protection. That's why Joel Embiid will probably be the number 1 pick if his back is fine. It's because it affects everything.
Mm-hmm.
It is the stone being thrown into the pond, and it just ripples out. And teams that don't have rim protection, Minnesota Timberwolves, don't do well because their defense sucks, everywhere because of that, not just near the rim. And I think you're right. I think the addition of Ibaka is just huge for them.
Yeah, in the NBA, where it's pretty much all you want are layups or shots really close to the basket or three-pointers,
right. Mm-hmm.
That all really does boil down to rim protection. You can't protect the arc if you're not protecting the rim, and vice versa.
Yeah.
Anyway, hopefully that game will continue to be a good series, because it was really boring. The first 2 games, that was not entertaining at all. But the other series, one that you've actually been able to watch, because you have ESPN.
Yep.
What do you think about that series?
I'm thinking Heat are going to win it. That's your opinion too, I assume?
Yeah, definitely. I don't have much confidence in the Pacers at all.
Yeah. They came out, obviously, in game 1 extremely hot. Like literally, they weren't missing shots. So, but I think we were talking about it earlier. It seems to be like they are kind of falling back into their round one / lead up to the playoff kind of just discombobulation. I mean, they don't look like the Pacers looked last year.
Yeah.
Right. It seems like Miami, who was an older, slower team, and this year than they were last year, has them running around the court like they don't know what they're doing.
Yeah, they just look disorganized.
Right, and I don't know where that comes from, but
I don't know. One thing that I'm worried about is, like you said, they're reverting back to what they were in the first and second round. And when you think back to the first round, everybody was like, "Oh, that's just a bad matchup for the Pacers." It's like you can't just have a bad matchup when you're against the Hawks.
right.
Like I don't care how bad the quote unquote matchup is. You need to dominate that team.
Were they
Same
even
thing with
500?
the Wizards. No, they weren't. And the Wizards, I mean, the Wizards were a much better team than the Hawks, and they have some good players. They have a good mix of like young and veteran guys, but they were still the Wizards. They were still a team that struggled to put together any sort of like good basketball for any stretch of time throughout the entire season.
Yeah.
And it's like matchups can kill you, but not in the first and second rounds, I don't think. Like you need to just take care of business. If you're an elite team, especially in the Eastern Conference with the lack of talent all across that conference, like you need to take care of business before you start complaining about matchup issues. And that's why I have no confidence in the Pacers. Like any team that had a matchup issue against Atlanta is not going to turn around and have a matchup issue in the opposite direction against the Heat. The Heat are just going to smoke you out.
Yeah, that's all great points. In the Atlanta series in particular, they probably had. Would you say that at least 4 of the starting 5 of Indiana were better than any player on the Hawks? I mean, Millsap had a great year. He's the only guy I would say would be better than George Hill, Indiana's worst starter. I don't know. The fact that they almost lost that series is ridiculous.
Yeah.
They should have lost that series.
It boiled down to people were saying, "Oh, but the Hawks have Pero Antic, and that's a bad matchup." Like, why is Pero Antic the kryptonite to a number 1 overall seed? Like, I will never trust this team again.
Was he even on the team before Horford got hurt? I mean,
he was barely in rotation.
Yeah. So no, that's not a good excuse, Indiana.
Exactly, and I just feel like, yeah, Miami's so good, and they have so many veterans, and they have LeBron James, and the Pacers don't have a chance. I don't care how good they played them last year. I don't care how good they looked 4 months ago. Right now, they're not going to beat the Heat.
I agree, especially when you got Ray Allen splashing in 4 3-pointers in a quarter, and Birdman doing Birdman things.
Uncontested, too, all 4 of those, I mean.
Oh, yeah, just wide open threes.
Do they know who Ray Allen is? Did they not see? They didn't see he got game?
They didn't see he got game.
I don't know how good this guy is.
Yeah, they thought that was just a character. They didn't realize he actually played basketball.
Are they going to go back to the Jay Shuttlesworth jersey for them to have to?
I heard he wears it underneath his jersey, a la Michael Jordan Space Jam. But no, I was texting my friend, my big Pacer fan friend, and I was saying, do the Pacers realize that there's 4 quarters in a basketball game? They think they're done after 3, I think. And they come out and just get annihilated in the 4th. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, it's been ugly. And like now there's all that talk about Lance Stevenson like bugging LeBron, and LeBron's getting mad at him now. And
yeah,
like why?
Because
what are you doing? Lance Stevenson.
I cannot wait for Michael Jordan to overpay Lance Stevenson next year. Oh,
that's a good point.
It's going to be delicious.
He's going to throw him 15 a year.
Yep.
And they can see what Lance Stevenson looks like when he's really allowed to freelance.
Oh, can you believe that?
Yeah.
It's going to happen. All but guaranteed.
Yeah. I'm not a Lance Stevenson fan at all. I had him on my fantasy team. And he's a great fantasy player because he's a blatant stat chaser. So he really fills up a lot of categories. But as far as watching him in an NBA, like in a serious NBA game in the playoffs, he's as equally frustrating as Russell Westbrook, except he doesn't go off for 40 points every once in a while.
No, Lance Stevenson will never have 40 points.
No.
There's just no way. Mainly because he spends too much time, like you said earlier. What was it? What was the phrase?
Killing grass?
Killing grass, yeah. He gets a fadeaway 20-footer off after dribbling around the court for 20 seconds. It's not a conducive way to score 40 points.
Yeah, killing grass, by the way, is a phrase I heard George Karl say once. It's where a guy just dribbles a bunch in the same spot, but he's not really going anywhere, so he's just dribbling there, killing the grass.
And it's also my new favorite phrase. So I'll be using it once a day.
We should
until it's entrenched in my vocabulary.
We should make it all killing the grass team. Not right now, but
done.
It would have Lance Stevenson and J.R. Smith on it.
I've got nothing going on for like the next month, so most of my time will be devoted to fielding that team.
Yeah, me neither. Summer started for me. My first year of teaching is done.
Oh, nice.
I just do whatever. I just make podcasts now for a living.
It's the life.
Yeah. All right. That series both got heat.
Do you want to quickly go over what we think the series will end at, or at least what the next couple of games will look like?
We can do that. What's that? 2-1 right now, Miami, right?
Yep.
Game 4 is tonight in Miami.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think? How's it going to finish?
Actually, I think the Pacers will win this game. I really do. I think the Heat will win the series in 6 or 7, but like I was saying earlier, the Heat just have a history of coming out flat when they don't need to win, and this is a don't need to win night if there ever was one. I mean, they have all the momentum. They shouldn't let it be squashed, but they're going to. I think.
That's a good point.
What about you? What do you think?
I think the Heat are going to win in 5. I think they'll win the next 2. I think 1 or 2 of those games are going to be really close. It's not going to be like they're going to blow them out the next 2 games, but I think tonight, I think they'll take care of business. I think LeBron just comes out swinging because basically, fuck Lance Stevenson. Like, that's why he's going to come out. He's just going to come out and drop 40 on him. Why not? And then the next game will probably be a really close game in Indiana, but I think Miami takes it anyways.
Yeah, this is one of the things I was thinking about in the Wizards series. The home court advantage when a team like Indiana is imploding is actually not a good thing because all of a sudden it's more pressure, right? You can't lose at home, and when you're expected to win, and it becomes just this cycle of. I mean, do you agree with that? Like,
I can see that. I've never really
if they
thought
lose
about
tonight, if they lose tonight, and then game 5, 6 would be in Indiana, and they're losing in the 4th. All of a sudden, it becomes so much harder to take the lead and to finish off the Heat there.
How quickly after the Pacers lose this series does somebody get the axe? Like, as in, like, Stevenson is just, hey, we're not re-signing you, or Vogel, you're fired. Like, who's the first to go?
I don't know. I think Vogel's been a little exposed in these playoffs for his I don't know, he's just not a flexible coach. He doesn't make the right adjustments on the fly. But I think because they probably can't sign Stevenson anyways, he just becomes the easy, we're getting rid of him, even though they were going to all along. And he's also so, volatile and polarizing that's a good move.
Yeah, I feel like the overall psyche and just character of the team would take a big increase, I guess, in losing Lance Stevenson. It'd be like addition by subtraction, the overall personality of the team.
I was wondering, did he start last year?
I don't believe. Oh, you know what? I think he did.
But he wasn't nearly this involved.
No, not at all.
He was okay. Because it seemed to me like the more kind of hype he got and the more attention he got, the worse the team got in terms of their slip. So, and that could have just been a chemistry thing. They also, that Granger trade was terrible, but I think if they got rid of Stevenson, they could get back to just playing solid team basketball.
Yeah, because Lance Stevenson is like, I know all teams kind of need that one guy that just plays outside of the box.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm not buying Stevenson being that guy. Yeah, I mean, you know what I mean? Like the Thunder have Westbrook. The Spurs have Ginobili. D. Wade has always kind of been a guy that is a little more freelance.
Mm-hmm.
But Stevenson is that guy for Indiana, and I'm just not buying it. I'm not impressed with his skill set. Like, I think he's a below average ball handler, even though he dribbles it a lot. He's not. It's not like he's like getting closer to the basket while he's dribbling. He's just killing grass. He's just dribbling around.
Yeah, he'll have once every other game or something, he'll put someone on their ass by crossing him over, and everyone thinks he's king of the schoolyard. But really, like you said, he's not gaining an advantage.
He
like,
really
what does that
isn't.
get you?
He's just
that gets
dancing.
you into the paint, and Chris Bosh is in your face, and you stop dribbling and have to pass it out. Like, it's not. I think his best play is when he plays hard defensively, and in transition, he's fantastic. But they don't do that. They don't do enough of that this year, at least.
He's not a good half-court player.
No,
he's not. I
that's
should say
right.
he's not a responsible half-court player.
He just kills the flow of the offense.
Exactly. Another thing by him is people, or at least I never hear people saying this, but I don't think he's all that athletic, to be honest with you. Like, he has an athletic build. Like, the dude's jacked. He looks huge. He looks like he's got long arms. But he doesn't really get up that high in traffic when he's driving to, like, finish. He doesn't really jump over people the way a Paul George, like his teammate Paul George does, or other notable athletes.
Mm-hmm.
He's just dribbling around real quick, and then he gets a step, and he just finishes at about the same height as any average NBA player. I mean, he earlier, I think it was in the Wizards series, he got a free trip to the rim, basically, like got past his man, had a free layup, and he got stuck in between dunking and laying it up, and he stuffed it to where it like stuck in the rim.
Yeah.
Like, he just jumped and stuffed it in there, and I was like, oh my gosh, what are you doing?
And that can't happen.
Yeah, and they were trying to make a comeback at that moment too, so it was perfect Lance Stevenson, like in a
Yeah,
nutshell.
I think you're right. I think he is kind of overrated as an athlete. He's not, and a lot of what he does right now, he gets to do because the Pacers are pretty good. Like, sure, they're not playing well at the moment, but teams are focused on stopping Paul George and, and facing up David West. They're not concerned about Lance Stevenson.
Yeah.
And that frees up a lot of space for him to do his shenanigans and, make himself look good. When in reality, he's just, he's a showman on a good team. And that's going to become pretty apparent next year when he gets overpaid.
Yeah, and he does exactly what you just said, just shenanigans.
Yeah, that's his game. And summed up in a word, shenanigans.
All right. Enough of that, I guess, because we said what I say. I have him in 5, you have him in 6?
Yeah.
All right. So the biggest story, other than the actual basketball being played, is the draft. We'll get to the other story in a sec, but the draft just happened, the lottery, and lo and behold, who has the first overall pick again? Dan Gilbert and his Cleveland Cavaliers.
Yeah.
Defying all odds. Like, literally. Like, mathematically defying odds. What do you think? What are they going to do?
Those are two different questions, I guess. What I think is that this is BS. Even before the draft lottery, I thought, you and I both avid Grantland fans, they've been talking about this wheel idea for a while, and I really do like that idea. Even coming from a fan of two teams that are historically pretty bad and could use lottery help, I've just seen it too many times where they don't actually get help in the lottery. So why not have a different incentive, try harder in other ways to improve your team? I think it would open up more trades, which I love as a fan, and it would avoid Cleveland getting three top picks in 4 years, which is embarrassing for everybody involved.
It really is. Like, the representative there, they have to be embarrassed at this point.
Yeah, and his celebration was embarrassing too. Like, this isn't something to celebrate. That this is how low you've come since drafting LeBron. And I think, honestly, all of these picks are like false good luck. Like, this isn't good luck, right? You burn one on Bennett. You got Kyrie, who's probably the most overrated young player in the league.
Yeah, I'm not a Kyrie fan.
I think they end up either trading this pick mistakenly, or they draft Embiid and his back gives out, and it's just nothing. And this is all retribution for how lucky they got getting LeBron and how immature they were when he left.
Yeah.
Just awful. I mean, I would have been pissed too if he left that way, but come on. Burning jerseys, like,
Gilbert
cursing
out.
God.
I remember when Gilbert, he said something along the lines of, the Cavaliers are going to win a championship before LeBron James ever does. I guarantee it.
That is exactly what he said, yes.
Yeah. And you look at it now, and the Heat have won 2 championships, possibly a third this year. And the Cavs are now going on their 3rd first overall pick. So, yeah. Oh, and do you remember the Fathead sales the LeBron fatheads were being sold for the same year of like it was something like Benedict Arnold's birthday or something like that, or like his
Oh,
birth
nice.
year.
That doesn't seem overboard or anything.
Yeah, that's like crazy ex-girlfriend stuff.
That's exactly what it was. And like again, I don't agree with the decision, like how he handled it, but he left. He left because of you. You had 7 years to surround him with talent, and the best you could do was Mo Williams, so he left.
Yeah,
And
Zydrunas Ilgauskas.
that's what
You
happens.
basically surrounded him with Zydrunas Ilgauskas, Mo Williams, and a guy who had sex with his mom. So
Who unfortunately happened to be probably the third best player they surrounded him with. So things didn't work out for him.
Yeah.
Anyways, the other question was what they do with it. I think they'll pick Embiid. I really do. Unless they know something about his back that we don't. He seems to be the favorite. He fits in a perfect position for them. What do you think, Wiggins?
No, I think they're going to go Embiid.
Embiid, yeah.
Yeah, because I've heard a lot of things about he had a recent workout and that he looked good. I heard that from multiple sources. And by sources, I mean I saw it like online and on TV. I don't have hookups. But I think they'll take Embiid because, like you said, he does fit the perfect mold of what they need.
Yep.
And what it also allows them to maybe keep Anderson Varejao healthy a little bit.
Yeah.
You know, because I mean he's a good player and he protects the rim and he gets rebounds, but guy can never stay on the court. So if you can just have him coming off the bench or maybe just playing as a starter, but only playing like 26, 27 minutes, that'd be good for the longevity of his abilities.
And their team would look so good on paper. Like, I know I just said Kyrie's overrated, but he's still a really good point guard. The Deion Waiters thing is so messed up. They need to get rid of him. But you have Kyrie, you'd have Tristan Thompson, who I really like. Varejao, who I also like. Embiid, who is supposed to be incredible. Great big man rotation. If you can get anything out of Bennett, you're talking about a team that could make the playoffs in the East easily.
Yeah, and I think they will get something out of Bennett.
And I think they will. He played better at the end of the year.
Yeah.
I mean, he was giving him 10 and 10.
Yeah, I'm not gonna hold it against him too much. I mean, it's not like he didn't choose to be the first overall pick.
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
He should have gone somewhere 8 to 10. Like that's where he was slotted, and
in any other draft year, that's probably where he goes.
Yeah. But this is just, I mean, you know, Cleveland, like we said, messed up a lot, and they should have taken Oladipo. And that lineup I just gave you with Oladipo instead of Waiters, like that is a fantastic team.
That's
all young, athletic.
That's probably a team that doesn't get the first overall pick again.
Yeah, that's safe to say.
They could do it again next year. You never know. Maybe they just
got to miss the playoffs and they have a chance.
But all right, I want to play a little game here because the other big story right now is Kevin Love came out and he said that he's not going to re-sign. That's what it was, right? Or I'm sorry, not that he's not going to re-sign, but he's not going to re-sign during the year.
Yeah, he's going to explore his options.
Which is code for I'm out of Minnesota after this year.
And thank you, Kevin Love, for saying that, honestly.
It really is, though.
That's how it should be handled, LeBron. And it although, I mean, it hurts their leverage a little bit in terms of trading because teams think they have to trade him. But again, the Timberwolves can still offer him $30 million that another team can't. So, I go back and forth on it, but just good to know where his head's at.
Yeah, it's good, nice to know that he showed his hand because now at least it's helpful for both people, really, because if he's not going to re-sign during the year, that means that there's a large portion of him that doesn't want to play in Minnesota anymore. So by saying that, he can possibly get out of town 1 year earlier, and Minnesota can actually get something in return. So it's like a scratch each other's back sort of thing.
Yeah, although in a weird way, that hurts him because wherever he goes will now be weaker because he'll have to be giving up something, either players or future players. But
oh, that's true. I didn't think about that. Or I didn't think about it through that lens.
Do you happen to know, a little side note before we get into the game, if he goes somewhere now, can that new team give him all the money that Minnesota could give him? Like, do they take his bird rights? Is that what it's called? Where they can give him that max deal?
I don't know. Actually, at all.
I feel like, I don't know how it works with youths, but I feel like, didn't Darren Williams get paid a ton of money? Or is that his second contract in New Jersey, now Brooklyn? that gave him all that money. Because he and Melo were the same idea, right? They got traded before they could basically not pick up a player option.
Right.
And then I feel like they both got paid a lot of money on that next contract. So maybe those teams can offer that max deal.
Maybe they can. I know that
Chris Paul, too, for the Clippers.
I don't know. That's a good question. I'm not 100% like well versed in the salary cap.
Yeah, well, it's super confusing, all of it. So.
Yeah, you basically need like a degree to understand it all. But anyway, the game. Basically, Drew Kahn over here, because Drew is a Minnesota fan, for people who don't know. I'm going to run some trade options by you, and you tell me who says no. Does Drew Kahn say no, or do the other team say no, basically? Okay. So, here are some possible destinations. The first one, I don't have an actual draft set up for it because I didn't know how, or I'm sorry, I didn't have an actual trade set up for it because I didn't know how trading picks worked, like with salary cap. So basically, the first team, the team that has the most to offer is the team we were just talking about, the Cavs.
Mm-hmm.
They have the first overall pick, Dion Waiters, Thompson, Bennett, and Jarrett Jack are all guys I think that could leave that team. What do they have to give you to get Kevin Love?
Interesting question. So I get to, this is a buffet of Cavaliers?
Yes. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. So
first
you got the
overall
first
pick,
overall.
we'll take it. Yeah.
I assume the first overall pick has to be in there.
Okay. I do too.
Would you agree that the first overall pick for Kevin Love would not be enough?
It's interesting. For Minnesota, yes. I feel like they'd want a little more. But this is the first overall pick, and it's supposed to be a legendary draft. You have a pick between basically 3 almost guaranteed All-Stars. It's weird, though, because I think the first overall pick would not be quite enough for Minnesota, but I think it might be too much for the team giving it, as confusing as that is. Especially a team like Cleveland, because what does Kevin Love get them? I mean, it gets them in the playoffs.
Gives them a second star. I mean, if you consider Kyrie Irving a superstar, which I really don't. I mean, if you take away Kyrie Irving's commercials, what is Kyrie Irving? Like a dude who's never led his team to anything other than multiple first overall draft picks.
Yeah, basically. I mean, he's like a poor man's... He's like a combination of John Wall and Stephen Curry, but then not as good. Like a tier below that. He brings the shooting and the penetration, but no defense.
Zero.
Just forget about defense. But back to the trade. Because Kevin Love doesn't make them a championship team.
He doesn't, but could they build from there though?
I think so, especially in the East.
You're not going to jump from 3 first overall picks in 4 years to a contender. I don't think there's any player you could trade for other than LeBron James or Kevin Durant that can do that to a team.
No, you're right. An interesting side note would be if you brought in Kevin Love, could you bring back LeBron if they're even thinking about that? If you bring in Kevin Love...
You know that they're thinking about that. That's all they think about.
Very, of course.
They would never admit it.
The crazy ex-girlfriend syndrome.
Yeah.
Kevin Love comes in, you're re-upping him for a max deal. Kyrie's going to need a max deal. That's fine, but now you're talking about filling in pieces around them, whereas if you bring in a guy like Wiggins, who you think might be a franchise player, or Parker, or Embiid, franchise player, you're going to have him essentially undervalued for 7 years because you get him on the rookie deal, plus you can extend that, and throughout that whole contract, if they're as good as they're supposed to be, you will be underpaying that player.
Mm-hmm.
And so that might be overthinking it, and God knows the Cavs don't ever overthink anything, but that's a consideration to make. If you trade for Love, you're getting Kevin Love, and you are putting all your eggs into the Kevin Love basket, and he has not done anything in his career yet that I think would warrant that.
That's kind of true. You're getting like the 2 stars that really haven't done anything to earn their stardom, other than put up great stats.
Neither play any defense. So I think that'd be a fantastic team in the East. I think we'll see what happens with Indiana. Miami is going to start, they're either going to leave or going to start getting too old. The Bulls are whatever. So, you'd be putting yourself in that conversation with the Wizards. It's a great young, high-powered offensively Eastern Conference team. but I just think the Kevin Love plan is very different than the use the first pick and draft Embiid or Wiggins plan. And you just have to decide which plan you prefer.
Yeah, there's always that too. Like, what field of thought are you from? Do you like proven talent or do you like potential?
True, because there's less risk with Kevin Love. That's very true.
Mm-hmm.
Again, are we assuming in this game that Kevin Love tells the team he'll resign?
Yeah.
Okay. Then yeah, that's true. I mean, especially if you're talking about Embiid versus Love, Embiid's got the injury problems. I think Wiggins and Parker are pretty slam dunk prospects. I think the worst Wiggins is going to be an offensive Tony Allen. Like, he has already shown elite wing defense skills, which is rare in the NBA and very, very valuable. I think his floor is already, I don't want to say Paul Pierce because Paul Pierce might be a Hall of Famer, but that's the kind of game he has. And then Embiid is supposed to be the next Hakeem Olajuwon, so whatever. But back to the game. I take the first overall pick. If you give me the first overall pick and you give me, I love Tristan Thompson. I want Tristan Thompson to replace Love. That right there is enough for me.
The first in Tristan Thompson?
Honestly, yeah. And if you give me filler for money. I don't think we want Bennett, who has a pretty sizable contract, being the first overall pick. That's not, proportional to his value. Jarrett Jack got overpaid last offseason. Don't want him.
See, I think that the Cavaliers are going to say if you take the first overall pick, you're going to have to take Jack or Waiters as well. Just because they're kind of just poisonous right now to each other. Just that whole situation, the whole backcourt is poisonous.
Yeah, and I don't really want Waiters. If I had to choose between him and Jack, I guess I'd take Waiters, a little more upside. Minnesota could use a nice scoring guard.
Yeah, a ball
especially
down
off the
guard
bench
next to a guy who doesn't shoot.
Yeah,
with Rubio.
Right. Well, I would even just bring him off the bench. I mean, keep starting Kevin Martin. Waiters is effective when he can be the ball handler, so bring him off the bench as a scoring guard, and I like that. So yeah, I'll take Waiters, Thompson, first overall pick. Give me a future pick too. Done deal. Right. That's what you got to do when you're making these trades, right? Because they're so confident they're going to be in the playoffs from now until eternity.
Yeah.
That you do what the Celtics did with the Nets, and you just milk them for like 10 first-round future picks.
God.
Like, give me those picks.
Yeah. All right. Here's another NBA Trade Machine approved trade. This one actually has players. So Who says no? Minnesota gives up Kevin Love, JJ Barea, and 2 second-round picks because Minnesota has 4 second-round picks this year.
Yep.
So 2 of those. And Phoenix gives them Eric Bledsoe, Markieff Morris, Alex Len, and the 14th and 18th, and Okafor to make the money right. But they would probably just.
Well, he's expiring, right?
I don't know. I don't really know how that works. Okafor was needed for the money.
He's expiring this year. That's why. Who did they get? Gortat. They gave up Okafor's expiring and a first rounder to get Gortat. That's right. That's why the Phoenix got rid of Gortat.
Yeah.
Okay.
So Okafor's just there to make the money right.
That's tough.
So Minnesota would be looking at, if they pulled that trade, because I know they're trying to get rid of JJ Barea too.
Mm-hmm.
I know he wasn't a big fan. He didn't really, or people weren't big fans of him. He didn't really have the best year, and I think he's making like $4 or $5 million. So it's just like a nice little contract to kind of get rid of. But
yeah.
Next year, Minnesota would go in with Rubio and Bledsoe as their backcourt. They would have Markieff Morris and Alex Len, who are both really young guys. Markieff Morris is proven to be pretty good. Is he going to be good without his twin? I don't really know. Are they good because
they lose some of his superpowers?
I don't know how that works, but you'd have one of them. And then Minnesota would also have. They already have the 12th, don't they? Maybe the 13th. Yeah. No, they have the 13th.
13th.
They have the 13th, so they would have the 13th, 14th, and 18th picks.
I mean, that's quite a haul in terms of just number of picks and prospects. I mean, you're talking Alex Len, we don't know what he is, so we'll just basically consider him a rookie big man with upside.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's about 4 prospects with our own pick included that could turn out to be very good. Bledsoe is already very good, but he's not a Kevin Love and never will be in terms of just how good he is in the league.
Agreed with that. Lower ceiling.
I'm a little worried Bledsoe's going to want to be overpaid wherever he ends up. but he gives something that we desperately need, which is perimeter defense and athleticism. Man, that's a tough one for me.
You think that's a realistic trade?
I think it's one too many things from Phoenix's perspective. I think they try and either keep their 14th or maybe Len.
Well, they have the 14th, 18th, and like 21st or something. So they would still
21st.
have a first overall pick or a first round pick.
Okay.
They have 3 first rounders.
Maybe swap the 18th and the 20th one. Then I don't know. That just feels like a little. That would be Phoenix doubling down, tripling down on Kevin Love. I mean, this is going to be the Goran Dragic, Kevin Love show, and go from there. I'm going to say no from Minnesota's perspective.
Drew Kahn says no.
Drew Kahn says no, unless Drew Kahn has fielded a bunch of other offers. And this is the last one, and it's the day before the deadline. Drew Kahn says no.
All right, here's my other one I got. Boston, again, for Love, Barea, and 2 second-round picks. And the reason I'm sending the second-round picks is because roster reasons.
Okay.
Like, if you're trading away all these people and picks, you just need something to fill in those spots. So,
Yep.
Love, Barea, and 2 second-round picks. For Jeff Green, Brandon Bass, Gerald Sullinger, the 6th and 17th picks.
I like this better than the Phoenix deal. The 6th pick, obviously, is the key. 6th in this draft is so much better than 14th that swings it for me. I actually like Sullinger a lot. He does have some injury problems and some not being athletic problems, but I like him. I mean, I like Bledsoe more than Sullinger, but not by much.
What?
Green is,
Are you serious?
yeah.
Dude,
I mean,
love
Bledsoe is always hurt. Bledsoe's injuries are worse than Sullinger's.
But have
and
you
the
ever
fact
seen
that he'll-
Eric Bledsoe flex?
I have. It's impressive.
Yeah,
I've also seen him. He's probably the fastest player in the league, next to Lawson and LeBron. I mean, he's a freak show. But he's always hurt. He's going to want too much money. We have Rubio. Green and Bass are just filler, essentially. They'll play. They'll be fine.
They'll play until their contract runs out.
Yeah, we don't
Yeah.
make the playoffs with this team this year, but I think it looks better for the future. Like I said, the 6th and the 14th, and then the 17th versus the 18th, that's a big difference this year. The 6th pick will be a guy who could be an all-star. I don't think the 14th is.
Who's going to go right around 6th? Dante Exum won't drop that far, right? Oh, I guess you guys wouldn't take him anyways because you have Rubio.
Well, 6 could end up being Julius Randle. I mean, it could be
Oh, yeah.
Marcus Smart. There's a lot of good guards, but it could be Noah Vonleh, who I really like out of Indiana. Julius Randle. Probably be a little too high for guys like McDermott or that Dario Saric guy, but I feel like we're missing a big one.
Gary Harris, I think is who you're thinking of.
Well, Gary
the man
Harris. All the mocks are having him available. Actually, a couple of mocks have Minnesota passing on Harris at 13,
Really?
which just makes me want to pull my hair out. But there's a lot of talent for the 6th. We have the 6th, the 13th, and the 17th, and Sullinger, who I like. That's a deal. We have a deal.
Yeah. And for all the athletic ability and like inability to protect the rim with Sullinger, you now have the actual next Hakeem Olajuwon, Giorgio Dang behind him. So I think you'll be
That
all
is
right.
true. I like that big man rotation. I'm obviously a homer, but I like Pekovic, Sullinger, Gorgie.
I can't believe Gorgie got so little playing time the entire year, and then they put him in at the end, and he was just a monster.
Yeah, he's just the next Ibaka. He
It
just
was
comes
incredible.
out, say, all right, block, slam, offensive rebound, number 10. It's just ridiculous.
So hopefully he pans out for you guys.
Oh, I just scrolled down and I want the next one. That's my.
That's
That's the one I want.
No, that wasn't the trade. That wasn't it. That's too much.
That's just their.
That's
that's
just their
what they
things.
have.
Okay, what he was talking about is I couldn't figure out one because I don't know. Again, I don't know all the ins and outs of the salary cap because I don't have. That's not my career to study it. So I don't know how trading picks works with the money, and I couldn't get the money to work with Orlando. But Orlando has a lot of pieces, and this is what they could send you. They have the 4th and the 12th pick. They have Vucevic, Tobias Harris, and Andrew Nicholson. Out of those things, what would it take to get Love realistically? Obviously, all 5 of those. I know that's not the trade. That would get him, absolutely. But they wouldn't send all 5.
Get rid of Nicholson and I'll take it, but I don't think they would do that either. Because
I don't
that's
think
just
so.
getting rid of the worst person.
I don't think they would send Vucevic and both picks.
No.
I think it would have to be like the 4th.
Honestly, we
and
don't
Vucevic.
even need Vucevic if we're talking about if Minnesota likes Pekovic and Gorgie as much as they say they do. Vucevic is a really good young center, but I don't think he's the linchpin. I personally love Harris. He was on my fantasy team this year. I think he's a fantastic, small ball 4 or just a 3, which is exactly what Minnesota needs. So give me 4th, 12th, and Harris. I think we have a deal. Maybe a future. I would do 4th and a future first and Harris and something else probably.
Oh, that's probably a good one. That's probably realistic too.
Again, this wouldn't ever happen because Love's not going to go to Orlando.
That's another thing.
They would be
he
good
would
enough.
shoot down Orlando.
Yeah, but in terms of their assets, I like those assets a lot. Big Harris guy. 4th pick in this draft is Dante Exum. Tandem him with Rubio. I like that.
All right. I guess we didn't really talk about the destinations. Like, I don't think Love would shoot down Boston because it's Boston.
And yeah, I think he would have faith that they would be able to turn it around.
Yeah.
Plus Rondo. That's an all-star already there.
Yeah, I don't think he would shoot down Phoenix because Phoenix is awesome to live. It's a great place to live, and
it's also very close to where he wants to go. He's from LA.
And Cleveland, I don't think he could shoot them down. I think it's just they're giving so much away that would he be able to veto it? I don't know how that works.
You mean the trade?
The trade, yeah. He doesn't want to play for Cleveland.
Well, just no one's going to
trade.
No one's going to trade for him unless he signs with them, because that would be a year rental. So that's the idea. Is that they'll need to know, the Clippers needed to know that Chris Paul was going to re-sign with them. Although I think he had 2 years before he had to make a decision. But either way, they're going to want to know.
Yeah. All right. Here's one other team that has a ton of assets, but absolutely would get shot down, similar to Orlando. But that's Philly. Philly has the 3rd pick. They have the 3rd pick, the 10th pick. They have 5 second-round picks and Nerlens Noel.
Just this year, 5 second-rounders?
Yes, just this year. I don't know what they're going to do with them because they basically traded Spencer Hawes and Evan Turner for just a bunch of second-round picks this year.
That's right. Interesting. This is actually different because I don't think Philly does this. Not because he wouldn't resign, but because what does adding Kevin Love to a couple of young guys do? I think they're just going all young and going from there. But
that's a good point because they can go into next year. Sorry, go ahead.
Okay, I don't even do this if I'm Minnesota though. We don't need Noel. We wouldn't want Michael Carter Williams, and they wouldn't give him up. 3rd and 10th, I don't think are enough for Love. 2nd-round picks are, useless.
5? You don't want 5 second-round picks for Love?
No, we're good. We're good on having, introducing 5 players to the D League. We're fine.
You guys actually already have, I think, 4 second-round picks.
Yeah, we have a lot this year. I
In theory, you could pick a third of the second round if you had 9 second-round picks.
Hey, I'll have to see the odds on how second-round picks land, but I think that's pretty good odds.
When it comes to
there's always a couple
odds.
guys.
Look how the odds have worked out for Cleveland the past few years.
Yeah, just killing it. But I think you were about to say Philly will probably go young. If you map it out, they could have Michael Carter Williams, Gary Harris, Jabari Parker,
Nerlens Noel.
I guess Thaddeus Young, Nerlens Noel. They're just gonna do that.
Tony Rotten wasn't too bad. I think it's Rotten or Roten.
Roten, yeah.
I can't tell if he's good because, if he's putting up numbers because he was on Philly, or if he's a solid player. But
he could be Lance Stevenson light for all we know. But
yeah, right.
But yeah, I don't think Philly's chasing a star in any capacity. I think they're going young.
That's a good point. Just start from scratch. They're probably just trying to wait for the LeBron James storm to blow over. They're in 5 years, LeBron James won't be the freak he is now, and that's when we can rise from the ashes.
Could be. And if they end up with Wiggins with the 3rd, they got the 3rd pick, you said?
Yeah, they're the 3rd and the 10th.
So what's the 2nd then? Is that the Bucks?
The Bucks. I didn't even put the Bucks on here.
I wonder what the Bucks. I'm just thinking about it in terms of the draft. I do think Cleveland will take Embiid. Who do the Bucks take? Either way, Philly's
probably
getting
Wiggins.
A small forward that that'll be really good. So,
Yeah, I think they would go with Wiggins. And then I think Utah is going to try to trade up to get Jabari, but
I hope they
the
do.
third pick will be Jabari, I think, if they don't.
That'd be interesting. Philly could trade the third.
I think Utah has the fifth.
They have the fifth,
I
so they
think
could
so.
offer the fifth and Gordon Hayward, who needs to be re-signed and probably won't re-sign in Utah.
That would be. Is that worth it to go up one spot?
If Hayward's out anyways, and you're talking about the difference between whoever, I don't know who's 5, but not Parker. Plus, you'd be getting the Mormon. Like, I think
That's the thing. I'm playing
Yeah.
the Mormon card.
and I've heard the same rumors. Like, I've heard that they are interested in moving up to get him. Just from a marketing standpoint, it's hard to get stars to come to Utah, so if they can get a guy that people will rally around, they got to do it.
Yeah.
And again, that's assuming Hayward's leaving anyways. Why not?
Yeah.
If I'm Philly,
that's
I do too,
interesting. I
so.
didn't even think about that. Anyway, here's some other picks, some very serious picks that are likely to happen, or some other trades. The Pistons, I think, would be an awesome destination for Kevin Love, and I think all they would have to give up are just a few of their assets. They would have to give up Josh Smith with an electric dog collar that goes off whenever he strays more than 18 feet from the basket. And the lifetime supply of shampoo that Charlie V once won but doesn't need. And if that's not enough, they'll give him Stan Van Gundy's Brazzers password.
Oh my god!
And I think that would be enough to get Kevin Love.
Just
So we could build around that.
pulling no punches on that one. Guy hasn't coached a game yet.
Like, hey, here's my password.
Side note, I heard from someone that Tom Izzo was offered that package, that Stan Van Gundy package, and he turned it down. Do you know if that's true?
I don't know if that's true, but
Offered
I'm
the
glad he didn't take it.
GM-ship and the coaching.
As much as I like the Pistons, like, no, you're not taking Izzo for my Spartans. God, no. Ruin Izzo?
Ruined Tommy.
Yeah. Another pick is we talked about Kevin Love wanting to go to the Lakers, and with the complete lack of assets that the Lakers have, I think they have like 7th or 8th pick, but that's not enough because they have nothing to pair with it. But I found a couple. I dug deep. I found a couple other assets they do have, but they can send the 7th or 8th pick, whatever their pick is. They could also send to Drew Kahn weekend rights to Swaggy P's girlfriend Iggy Azalea. As well as Kent Bazemore and Robert Sacre will give a 2-week clinic to the Minnesota bench on how to celebrate.
Ooh. Okay.
So think about that.
You got yourself a headliner there for that trade.
Yeah, you got a bench that can celebrate. You got a full weekend with Iggy Azalea, and whatever pick they have, 7th or 8th. So.
All right. I'm sorry. I know you're a big Pistons guy, but that trade beats the Pistons trade. So.
All right, you got anything else?
I don't think so. I think going to be I think do both series go back or every other night now?
I hope so. I'm pretty sure they do.
After that huge break we just had.
Yeah, 2 days off
So-
where they didn't play on Friday or Saturday.
Yeah. So I'm excited to get this going. I always get into heat mode come conference finals time and just start blindly cheering for LeBron and watch the world hate around me. And it's one of my favorite times of the year, so I'm just happy.
All right, well, enjoy the game tonight. We're going to try to get this out before the game starts.
All right.
But I think that's it. Drew, you the real MVP.
I appreciate it. I'm so flattered.
All right, man, I'll see you.
All right, see ya.